There is no reason to take it to social media. They could have made this statement in a more professional way. And I think when you get clubs tweeting about the institution that is football, tweeting about the FA, tweeting about the PGMOL, the whole thing is just rather unedifying. I think Twitter is just a bad conduit. It's a bad vehicle to make your feelings known.
What about Mark Clattenburg? So he's employed by Nottingham Forest as a consultant. You know,
they're huge words that you just said that people seem to be ignoring.
Yeah.
They're really huge words. You are absolutely right to make that point, because there's an article in today's Daily Mail where he speaks about how ludicrous it is that somebody who is...
I think he describes it as a joke, doesn't he? He says it's a joke.
He said it's a joke that somebody is a Luton fan involved with the VAR. That may be true, but at no point, this is amazing, and it shouldn't really be allowed. Like, I don't know much about press standards, but it shouldn't be allowed. You shouldn't be able to make this accusation without at the very top of the article, it's saying Mark Clattenburg is a consultant employed by Nottingham Forest. So Mark Clattenburg has a vested interest in this case, just like any Luton fan on the VAR.
Would Mark Clattenburg have been the one that flags it up to Nottingham Forest that Stuart Atwell is a Luton fan? Because I don't know who a referee support. Do you know who a referee support?
No,
but Mark Clattenburg does.
Mark Clattenburg would know. Yeah, and well, there was a photo going around social media as well with Atwell in a Luton shirt.
Right.
So there is no... Listen, I on some level think that Clattenburg's right. I just don't think Clattenburg has the... I don't think Clattenburg should be on the pedestal having the conversation, at least without flagging that he is also totally employed and therefore totally biased in a Nottingham Forest way, in favour of Nottingham Forest. The whole thing seems to be people trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes. It's all smoke and mirrors, when the truth of the situation tells a story for us. They were shocking decisions. A penalty should have been awarded. Somebody... making those decisions does support Luton and therefore has a vested interest. All of those things should be flagged. It's just a bit rich coming from Mark Clattenburg.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Right, here we go. Number 2, West Ham United will be in a relegation scrap if they keep hold of David Moyes next season.
Yeah, they will. I really do think this. This is a drum that I've been banging.
Are they going to keep him though?
They can't. They can't. He's so clearly not correct for that club now. And I honestly don't understand it. I've been saying this for ages, and I'd say 9 times out of 10, certainly the vast majority of people who reply to me when I say that David Moyes should have been sacked a long time ago, they will always contest it. They will always flag where West Ham are in the league. They will always flag that West Ham won their first trophy since 1982. I think it was Frank Lampard's old man. Frank Lampard, as we know, Frank Lampard's old man lifted a trophy the last time they won. I think it was the FA Cup of 1980 where they beat Arsenal. People will always defend David Moyes like that without seeing the bigger picture. And I just think that for West Ham to be the club that they want to be, you know, they're marketing themselves as this like London club, the London Stadium, we are London, all that. For them to become that club that they truly want to be, they need a progressive, noble appointment. They need somebody to come in who can take the club to the next level. David Moyes, you could argue, did very well to get them into a position where they were qualifying for Europe regularly, winning silverware in Europe, and therefore they were like a coiled spring ready to go to that next stage. They were never going to go to that next stage with David Moyes. And we know this because, you know, the year that they won in Prague, that was seen as being a really good year. Do you know, and there's no reason why you would know this off the top of your head, but they accrued 40 Premier League points that season. 40 points. That's the minimum of any manager. 40 points is your benchmark, isn't it? 40 points. You know, a West Ham team fairly recently went down with 42 points, didn't they? So that year, if Jared Bowen hits that over the bar and they don't win that silverware, he's sacked. Yeah,
they are 8th.
They're 8th because Chelsea have had a
think they're going to be in the bottom 3 next year? They've got Jared Bowen, they've got Paquetá.
Yeah, they've got very good players, but the words that you're saying here are actually making my case stronger. You're right.
Because you think they'll go?
I think that they'll leave. I also think that the players that they have, they should be doing far better than they are. And there have been some such poor performances. The other thing with West Ham is, I don't agree with this, but you ever meet a West Ham fan, right? And I know more than my fair share.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
They say things like this. The West Ham way. Like, you and I know that means nothing. But they believe it. Like, you know, they genuinely believe that they won the World Cup and things like that. Like, they actually believe it. They need a manager that is in tune with their approach to football. You know, they think that the game needs to be played in a very particular, expansive way. It's the exact opposite of David Moyes.
It doesn't suit the so-called West Ham way, but he's taken them into Europe 3 consecutive seasons. You know, they're eighth. They're going to finish in the top half. I think relegation is a stretch too far. Right, Chelsea are only a decent striker away from making Champions League next season. I can't read that out with a straight face. Come on. What?
Nah, someone's winding me up here. You're doing it. This is very provocative from you, Adrian. No, we're not. We're not a striker away from qualifying for the European Cup. We are
9 players.
Yeah, well, I would say that there are half a dozen players at the club, half a dozen players who play on a regular basis who aren't good enough to play for the club. And that isn't me saying that when they're not good enough to play for us if we want to make it into the top 4. I'm saying that they're not good enough to play for us while we're mid-table. They're not good enough to play for us for who we are today. There are so many average players at the club. And I think more worryingly than that, there are so many players at the club who clearly have no interest in what the club are and what the club represent. There is so much that you can learn from Chelsea in recent performances. There is so much that you can learn in recent incidents. So Nicholas Jackson having an argument with Noni Madueke, having an argument with Cole Palmer over a penalty, that gives you an insight into the culture of the club. Apparently, Mauricio Pochettino had already told the players that Cole Palmer was a penalty taker. So that means one of two things. It means he's either being completely ignored, which is worrying, or there's a communication issue, which is also completely worrying. The fact that those two players wanted the penalty to take it away from Cole Palmer when Cole Palmer is on course, so they should actually be saying, "You have it, son. You're gonna win the Golden Boot.
Yeah.
You're gonna beat Mohamed Salah to the Golden Boot. You're gonna meet Erling Haaland for the Golden Boot." There are so many problems at the club that, yeah, I suppose if I would say one thing, in fact, if I would say one thing, I think I could make a list of 10 problems at Chelsea, and I don't think I'd mention a striker.
No.
There are so many other bigger problems at the club than a striker.
Yep, it's more than a striker for sure. Right, despite wins for Liverpool and Arsenal this weekend, neither will win the Premier League.
Yes, I think that's probably true now. I think Arsenal can't win it simply because their fixtures are so unkind. Like, they are playing two teams whose sole objective will be to beat them.
Do you think Chelsea at home is an unkind fixture for them? Genuinely,
only because of what it
given
represents.
Chelsea's recent record at Emirates Stadium.
Yeah, only because of what it represents.
Yeah.
Only because this is a way where Chelsea can snatch some semblance of fake glory from the season. It's a way for Mauricio Pochettino to claim some sort of victory. So yeah, I think if Chelsea were going for the league title and we were playing Arsenal, even when Arsenal were finishing 8th twice, I would be fearful of that.
Can I flip it around and say, do you have complete faith in City to go and win all their games? Because I'm not so sure.
No, I don't. I don't.
The fact that players are asking to come off, it's just that strikes me as odd.
City will drop points, and I think if Arsenal, this is what I will say: if Arsenal win every game between now and the end of the season, Arsenal will be champions.
Yeah.
But I don't believe Arsenal will win every game between now and the end of the season. I also think, look, if Postecoglou, I know it's too early for Arsenal to even consider the Tottenham game. They've one game at a time, and Chelsea has to be the priority. But Tottenham's looming. If Postecoglou gets it wrong and goes expansive and plays the way that he likes to play and sticks to his regime, mate, they will get battered. They will get Arsenal beaten 4-0. But surely he's
not changing. Telling you now, he's not. Why would he change it now? He hasn't changed it for any match this season.
Because there's so much jeopardy. Tottenham. Remember, they're a club that haven't won. Tottenham have won 2 league cups since 1991. Tottenham can call this a trophy. Tottenham stop Arsenal winning the league. That's as good as silverware. Like, it genuinely
for the fans, not for Postecoglou. Postecoglou's judged on 4th or 5th.
But the fixture will go down in it. The fixture will live forever.
Right, last one. We've had sort of one incendiary statement from Nottingham Forest this week. This is another one, really. Whoever signs Ivan Toney this summer will be wasting a large bulk of their budget on a dud.
No, he's not a dud. He's definitely not a dud. He's a very good player, but he's definitely not as good as people like to think he was when he was banned.
As good as Watkins or Isak?
No, he's not as good as either.
No, I agree.
He's not as good as either. No. I think something wild happened whilst he was off. He suddenly became a better player than he ever was. He became the answer to Arsenal's problems. He became the answer to Brentford's problem. Brentford only survive if they keep him. Chelsea only get back on track if they sign him. Arsenal only win the league if they sign him. It's like, he's not that good.
Where's he go then? He wants 250 grand a week.
I think Arsenal still makes sense because...
He won't go to Arsenal.
Do you not think?
I think he's too old. I think that Arsenal will go for someone slightly younger, someone slightly more mobile.
If not Arsenal, because I still think that there's that place for him at Arsenal, because Kai Havertz, although Arsenal fans will tell you he's done very well as a false nine, I don't think he's the answer. Eddie Nketiah, I believe, will leave, and Gabriel Jesus, I don't think is clinical enough to be that guy. So I think there is a place for him at Arsenal. If Arsenal decide that he isn't right for them, though, then I don't know, because he won't go to Chelsea.
You know where he's going, no?
No, he won't go to Chelsea because we have a ludicrous model of course, only signing kids. So I don't think it will... I would have him. He's a better player than Nicholas Jackson. But I don't think he's right for Chelsea either, which suddenly puts him... You then start wondering, has he missed his... For professional footballers, it really is about timing, isn't it? And if that clear move from Brentford doesn't exist, that obvious...
Tottenham still haven't replaced Harry Kane.
No, Tottenham is a good shout, actually. Tottenham is a good shout for him. But if Tottenham aren't in the Champions League, he's quite an arrogant man.
Oh, come on. I think you can't go from Brentford and demand Champions League football, surely.
Not if you're rational. But have you heard Ivan Toney talk about how have you heard him speak?
He's not. He doesn't lack confidence.
No, exactly.
I know this.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.